Today, we're going to break down a financial tool that makes a really big promise: getting stock market style gains without the risk of stock market losses. It's called a fixed indexed annuity. And by the end of this, you're going to understand exactly how it works and, yeah, what the catch is.
I mean, this is the question, right? Especially if you're getting close to retirement. How in the world do you grow your money without putting the very nest egg you need to live on at risk? A big market crash right after you retire can be absolutely catastrophic. It's a classic high-stakes dilemma.
So, yeah, this constant battle between wanting growth and needing safety, we're going to call that the retirement riddle. For decades, your whole goal was just to grow, grow, grow. But now the goal is to make it last. And believe me, those two things can definitely be at odds with each other. And this isn't some small little problem. It is a huge risk for people nearing retirement. A big drop in the market in those first couple of years can be devastating. There's a technical name for it: sequence of returns risk, and it can seriously mess with how long your money is going to last. Okay, so how do you solve a riddle like that? Well, this is where a product built around a pretty powerful no-loss promise comes into the picture. So the fixed indexed annuity, or FIA for short, is basically a hybrid. Think of it this way. It's an insurance contract, which means your initial investment, your principal, is protected. But instead of just earning some tiny fixed interest rate, your potential for growth is linked to a market index, like the S&P 500. And here it is. This is the core sales pitch. The whole idea is you get to ride the wave in the market's good years. But when the market has a bad year and goes down, your account value doesn't. You simply get a 0% return for that period. It's often called the 0% floor. Your money is shielded from those downturns. Now listen up, because this is a really, really important distinction to make. With an FIA, your money is not actually invested in the stocks of the S&P 500. The insurance company is just using that index as a benchmark, kind of like a ruler, to figure out how much interest, if any, to credit to your account. So you get the upside that's linked to the market, but without taking on that direct downside risk. A no-loss promise. I mean, it sounds almost too good to be true, doesn't it? So let's pop the hood and take a look at how these things really work, because that protection has to come from somewhere. There's always a trade-off. Exactly. This is the question you should always be asking. If you can't lose money when the market tanks, how on earth is the insurance company making this work? Well, to put it simply, they invest most of your money in super safe stuff, like bonds, to protect your principal. Then they use just a little slice of it to buy options on an index, and that's what gives you the growth potential. But that strategy has some built-in limits. Okay, so the first part of that catch is something called a cap rate. You can just think of this as a ceiling on how much you can possibly earn. So let's say we have a fantastic year and the S&P 500 just skyrockets by 20%. Well, your contract might have a cap of, say, 7%. That means the absolute maximum interest you can get for that year is 7%. It's a good return for sure, but you're giving up that home run. Another common limit is what's called a participation rate. This just decides what percentage of the index's gain you actually get to keep. So for example, if the index goes up by 10%, but your participation rate is 60%, your interest credit would be 6%. You're participating just only in a piece of the total gain. This chart right here really tells the whole story, doesn't it? That first bar, that's the full market gain of 15%. The second bar shows your return, which is limited by that 7% cap. You completely dodged any potential losses, which is great, but the price you pay for that safety is that your upside is limited. That is the central bargain of a fixed indexed annuity. So with all that in mind, let's just lay out the pros and cons side by side. These are the essential trade-offs you really have to think about. Okay, on the pro side, the benefits are pretty powerful. The biggest one, of course, is that principal protection from market loss. That's huge. You also get the potential for growth that can usually beat CDs. A lot of these FIAs also offer optional add-ons, they're called riders, that can create a guaranteed income stream for life, kind of like your own personal pension. And on top of all that, your money grows tax-deferred. But, and this is a big but, the trade-offs on the con side are just as important. We already talked about the limited upside because of caps and participation rates. The contracts themselves can also be pretty complex, and a massive factor is liquidity. Your money is often locked up in what's called a surrender period for anywhere from 7 to 12 years. If you try to take it out early, you're going to face some serious penalties. So after all that, how do you know if this tool is actually the right one for you? Well, it really truly comes down to your personal situation and what you're trying to achieve with your money. This table here does a fantastic job of showing where the FIA fits in. It really is a middle ground kind of product. You can see it offers principal safety, just like a regular fixed annuity, but it gives you that partial market participation, which a fixed annuity doesn't. And then you compare it to a variable annuity, it has lower growth potential, but it has none of that direct market risk. It's really designed for that conservative to moderate investor.
So who's the ideal person for this? Well, it's probably a good fit if you're getting close to retirement, your absolute #1 priority is protecting what you've saved, and maybe you're looking to create a reliable income stream. On the flip side, it's probably a poor fit if you're young, you have a really long time horizon, you need to get to your cash in the next few years, or you're trying to get the highest possible returns and you're perfectly comfortable with market risk.
Okay, so let's say it does seem like a good fit. How much should you even consider putting into one? A pretty common rule of thumb, and let me be clear, this is not financial advice, is an allocation of maybe 20 to 50% of your retirement assets. The key takeaway is that it's not meant for your entire portfolio, but for a specific slice of it that's dedicated to safety and income. So if you remember just one thing from all of this, let it be this. A fixed indexed annuity is not designed to replace your stock market investments. It's designed to be a stabilizer for your portfolio and a potential engine for guaranteed retirement income. Its job is to play defense, not offense.
Understanding that difference is everything. And that leaves us with the final question, the one you need to ask yourself. You know it's not a tool for shooting the lights out with crazy growth, but could it be the missing safety net that lets you sleep a whole lot better at night during your retirement years?